Whitney Williams, Rogers Arena. It's the preseason finale for both these teams. Both will open against Calgary on Wednesday and Thursday, respectively, next week. But one last tune-up, the Canucks and the Oilers here in Vancouver. Let's check out the starting goaltenders for this hockey game. Different than when they met 48 hours ago. Ben Scrivens, 2-0 this preseason, getting set for his first full year with the Oilers after coming over in the trade with the LA Kings. Ryan Miller makes his third appearance for his new team. Played half a game in a win against Calgary, took the loss in the Arizona contest. And he's set to be Vancouver's #1 this season. There's Teddy Purcell, the Oilers' only goal in the 2-1 loss at Rexall Place a couple of nights ago. And Radim Vrbata is back in the Vancouver lineup, set to skate with the Sedin twins again as they look for that all-important chemistry in the last chance to warm up before opening night. Henrik Sedin against Boyd Gordon, who was in the top 10 in face-off percentage last season, but he loses the opening draw in this one. Canucks control the puck, with Lucas Sbisa banking ahead and down the ice, and that'll be an early whistle for icing as Schultz skates back into his own zone.
And another face-off. Boyd Gordon did not play on Thursday as Willie Desjardins talking to Zach Kassian on the bench. And as you say, John, Boyd Gordon's a very good face-off guy, and that's something the Oilers desperately need.
Vladimir Sobotka was the best in the NHL last season at about 61%. Gordon at 56.5%. And he's back into his own zone after this loose puck. Gordon on a line with Jordan Eberle and Purcell. And here's Eberle in over the Vancouver line. Passing right side, Justin Schultz. Loves to get in on the offense. Centering pass for Gordon didn't work. Puck loose to the corner. Dan Hanhus is there, and he'll reverse for Sbisa as both teams start to change. Lucas Sbisa, end of his shift, gets to center, backhands the puck in. Scrivens out to play it, can't get it by Alex Burrows. Now Draisaitl with a dangerous pass in his own zone, gets away with it, and here he comes to center. Right side feed, Nail Yakupov working on Alex Edler. Yakupov stops. Down into the corner, Draisaitl trying to pull his way to the front. He was being tied up by Nick Bonino, and Edler winds up with the puck but hands it to Yakupov, only to be stolen by Burrows, who clears ahead. Here's Chris Higgins cutting it on goal. Backhander scores! Ben Scrivens electing not to come out, and Higgins makes him pay. It's 1-0, just a minute 19 in.
Well, nice play by Alex Burrows, and Chris Higgins shows his speed. Burrows gets it, a quick out, and Chris Higgins is off to the races. And Ben Scrivens is guessing. He's guessing that Chris Higgins is going to pull that across. Rolling puck, Higgins sees a goaltender cheat on it, and makes himself vulnerable to the little chip over the shoulder.
Higgins with his second of the preseason from Burrows and Edler. And the early goal for the Canucks. It was Edmonton scoring first the other night. Canucks with 2 in the second period in the 2-1 victory. Nicholas Jensen onto a loose puck. Back towards Ryan Stanton. And now Sean Mathias with the puck. In deep for Zach Kassian. Working on Keith Hawley. Jensen comes in looking for the puck. Kassian and Hawley continue to battle. There's Jujhar Khaira from Surrey, number 54 for Edmonton, getting the puck into the corner, and turning with it there is Matt Hendricks. Hendricks to center, backhands the puck in. Sbisa goes back. And out with the puck is Derek Dorsett. Dorsett rushes all the way in Edmonton zone. Now backhand Hughes slap shot, and a right pad save by Ben Scrivens. Hughes again drags in the middle, long shot, gloved this time by Scrivens. And he hangs on for the whistle as the players mill about to the side of his crease.
Darnell Nurse and Derek Dorsett in front of Ben Scrivens. Now, Ben Scrivens played 21 games for the Edmonton Oilers last year. That's the most he's played in any NHL season. Wants to be the #1 guy in Edmonton this year, and just kind of guesses. He's guessing that Higgins is going to pull that, goes down very early and gets his shoulders rolled over, and Higgins finds the top part of the net.
maybe two guesses, the first being that Higgins wasn't going to win the race to the puck. Eberle, hard centering pass. Here's Nurse slamming one off Jannik Hansen and well wide of the goal. Just about 3 minutes into the first. Higgins with the early tally. Edler with the puck in his own end. Lifts a high one into Oiler territory. Schultz is back. Canucks are changing. As Schultz skates the puck forward, pass to Eberle. Tried to chip it in deep, taken away by Stanton, who chips the puck the other way. Daniel Sedin in pursuit. Brad Hunt is there. And now Anton Lander deep in his own zone. Loses the puck to Daniel Sedin, who centers for Henrik. Back towards Daniel at the side. Banks it in. Again, John, it's not one pass too many. It works. And that's the second time this preseason we've said that.
And Henrik and Daniel Sedin, who feast on the Oilers, make it work on this play. Pass out in front. You think he's going to shoot? No, it's into the corner, and Daniel banks it off the goaltender, who I feel a little sorry for Ben Scrivens, because he's thinking, okay, shot from the middle, and instead he can't get back. He's swimming back, and he can't get his body tightened up to the post so that the rebound won't go in.
Daniel Sedin's first goal of the preseason at 3:26. And that's 2 goals in 2 minutes and 7 seconds for the Canucks to start this hockey game.
Ben Scrivens said, okay, shot 10 feet out right in the middle. That guy's going to shoot. So you go out, he doesn't shoot, and now you're swimming around, and Ben Scrivens doesn't like the result, but you've got to play the guy right in the middle 10 feet out.
I believe for those of us who grew up watching hockey in the 70s and 80s, the technical term for that, John, is fishing for nickels. Here's Nick Bonino. Moving in on Oscar Klefbom, who takes the puck away. Klefbom on defense with Hunt, who has the puck. Trying to get ahead to Tyler Pitlick. Pitlick with that hit in the first period early on Thursday that knocked Bo Horvat out of the game and out of the Canucks lineup for a little bit. Not as serious as some had feared, we are led to believe, and that's good news for Bo Horvat and the Canucks.
Well, Nikita Nikitin got that good news too. His ankle injury is not as bad as they first thought.
Marincin with a lead pass. Puck comes right back to him. And this time he'll feed it across. Gets a return pass from Hunt now up to Mark Arcobello, who backhands the puck off the glass into the Vancouver end. Will Acton on the forecheck. Tanev trying to contend with him. Here's Yakimov. Bogdan Yakimov is number 39. Nail Yakupov is number 10.
Is that for my benefit?
No. It's just to remind myself. Second game in a row, Dallas Eakins has blessed us with having both in the lineup. Edler, lead pass, trying to find Kassian. That didn't work, and it'll be icing with a face-off upcoming in the Vancouver zone. It's kind of a round robin coming up next week. It'll be the Canucks and the Flames on Wednesday in Calgary. Then it's the Oilers and the Flames Thursday in Edmonton. And then the Canucks and the Oilers in Vancouver on this Saturday. And then the Canucks don't play again until they travel to Edmonton 6 days later.
Yes. And they have Edmonton again at the end of the month.
Shots are 4-0 Canucks. Score is 2-0 Vancouver. Yakupov in his own zone. Passes to Nurse. Under pressure from Lyndon Vey. He was able to get away from it. And now the puck is shot into the Vancouver zone by Draisaitl. Oilers try to set it up in front. Knocked away by Vey. Poked ahead by Hansen, but he couldn't move out. Yannick Weber back in the Vancouver lineup for this one. Kevin Bieksa not in. Has not skated in a couple of days. May have had to do with the hit he tried to throw on Pitlick after the hit on Horvat when Bieksa went awkwardly over the Edmonton player and into the boards. Spiza ahead to Vey, who circles at his own blue line. Spiza wasn't expecting that pass, couldn't take it cleanly. Oilers try to take advantage, but Handhuse has the puck ahead to Daniel Sedin, who gets it out. Klefbom. Pass picked off by Daniel Sedin, but Purcell read that well, took it back. Now ahead to Eberle. Moving in on Spiza. Eberle with a backhand attempt that went off the stick of Spiza and wide of the goal. Just a little over 6.5 minutes into the first. And the Oilers playing from behind, lots of time. And Eberle a chance in front, but the puck knocked away by Dan Handhuse. Klefbom with a long test, and that slid wide of the goal. Canucks can't get the puck out. Eberle tried to make a move to the outside. Puck knocked off his stick, and now the Canucks break the center. Rabada on the right wing. Slid one through, hoping to find Daniel Sedin. That was out of his reach. Eberle takes the puck away and plays it out to neutral ice. Here's Klefbom from behind his own net. The puck played through. Hendricks to Pitlick, and that's off his stick and into the seats. Quick start for the home team in this one. Chris Higgins got them started just over a minute in, and just over 2 minutes later, Daniel Sedin, and it's 2-0.
Well, and this is the final preseason game. Many players are looking for that last little bit chance to build some chemistry. Others are just trying to make an impression. But for goaltender Ryan Miller, it goes a little bit deeper than that.
Honestly, like learning the guys' voices, you know, just because you're going to hear it on the ice. And I got to St. Louis and the guy called for a puck. I passed it that way, and it was not a guy from St. Louis. So.
Well, that's the advantage of coming to training camp and not getting traded halfway through the season. And Ryan Miller trying to learn the tendencies of the defenseman and the other guys when you play the puck, come out of the net.
Slashing penalty coming up here. And then after the whistle, Alex Burrows took a hit, and the Canucks react to that. Burrows had his stick slashed, and that's the penalty.
I think that'll be the only penalty out of this. His stick broken right in half, and I think that's the... Okay, there's the Burrows slash. He doesn't get called, but then his stick breaks. And so the penalty is called.
So they missed the Burrows slash, but they saw Jujhar Khaira's. And Canucks up 2-0, get a power play.
Had Khaira's stick broken on the slash, then Alex Burrows would be in the penalty box instead.
Like in theory it makes sense, but it doesn't really make sense. Here's a chance at the side, and either a stop or a goal post on Henrik Sedin.
Henrik Sedin looked skyward after he had half the net and hit the side of the net.
Rabada set him up. Rabada in on the right wing, leaves for Lyndon Vey. Edler down for Rabada. Cross to Henrik Sedin. Here's Henrik. Sliding one back towards Daniel. 45 seconds gone to the power play. Daniel tried to slide one across for Rabada. That was broken up. Canucks keep the puck alive. Daniel in the corner under pressure from Schultz. Henrik hooks it across, but diving out is Pitlick to knock the puck down the ice. Both teams change personnel with under a minute to go on the man advantage. We're just about 9 minutes into the first. Higgins to Bonino, and across. Burrows stopped by Scrivens, point blank. Canucks keep control of the puck. Bonino to the goal line. Burrows checked by Klefbom. Puck comes to Lander, and he slams it down into Vancouver territory. .25 seconds to go on the penalty to Jujhar Khaira. And offside is Burrows on the right wing as he took a pass from Chris Higgins.
Here's the Henrik play, side of the net. He's behind the goal line and he tries to drag it back in and hits the post inside of the net. And then a nice play by Chris Higgins to Alex Burrows. And Ben Scrivens makes his best save of the first period.
Shots are 6-1 for the Canucks. Bonino blocks that clearing attempt, but Boyd Gordon able to swat the puck the length of the ice. He was out for the face-off. He now heads to the bench. Oilers have Hendricks out there along with Draisaitl penalty killing. Here's Bonino trying to step around Marincin. Almost successful. Hamhuis holds the puck in as the penalty comes to an end. Canucks with a couple of shots registered on that power play, but unable to build on a 2-0 lead. Oilers are now killed off 26 of 29 in the preseason. Here's Lander in. Pass for Draisaitl was tipped away. Draisaitl from the corner. Yakupov with a one-timer, and he drilled it wide. Now they've taken a shot away from the Canucks. Probably because they just realized Henrik hit the outside of the net. So the shots are 5-1 Vancouver. Jensen couldn't get the puck out. Shot by Schultz bounces wide of the goal. Nick Jensen, another chance to clear. This time he'll skate back with the puck and circle in front of his own net. Jensen with a quick burst to center, and he tips the puck in and chases after it on Darnell Nurse. Schultz. Yakupov knocks that one in a midair. Holding the line is Stanton, but the Oilers get the puck out, and taking control is Yannick Weber. They for Kassian, that's broken up. Dorsett tips the puck in on the right wing. Scrivens out to play it, hands it to Zach Kassian. Dorsett centers, Vey with a quick shot, and Scrivens a nice stop there. Couple of point-blank saves he's made now off Burrows. That latest one, Lyndon Vey. This will be an icing play as Hansen missed the pass at center. Well, regular season right on the horizon. And you're going to want to have Rogers NHL Game Center Live, your chance to live stream over 1,000 in and out of market games, including the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now get a free subscription until December 31st if you're a Rogers Internet or wireless data plan customer. Go to rogers.com/NHL.
Canucks have had 6 shots, 6 chances.
There's a shot by Hunt right off the draw, and Miller out to challenge, made the save. Yannick Hansen trying to find Dorsett. That was broken up by Hunt. Brad Hunt trying to stop, fell down. Vey gets the puck ahead to Dorsett. He banks it through for Hansen, who was able to poke the puck and now go after it. Purcell pursuing him. Puck comes to Henrik Sedin in traffic, trying to find some room. He's going to draw a penalty to Eberle for hooking. Miller to the bench for the extra attacker. Here's Rabada. And the Oilers get the puck. Whistle blows when we come back. Another power play for Vancouver as Jordan Eberle heads to the penalty box.
Coaches would say, get your feet moving. The Oilers haven't got their feet moving so far. Jordan Eberle standing still, hooks Henrik Sedin, ends up in the penalty box. Brad Hunt, here's the 5-foot hash mark rule. Nobody gets to him. Draw a clean back. Hansen goes inside, and nobody's there. Derek Dorsett can't get out because he has to start that 5 feet apart.
Good pickup.
Thank you.
Power play Canucks. And they'll have to move up the ice to get it going as the Oilers get the early clear. Edler forced back. This is the unit they figure to start the regular season with, the way they've been practicing. Guessing they'd like to see Edler a little bit more involved from the point than on the first one. Get some shots through, maybe some rebounds. Marincin, lots of time and space, and he makes no mistake clearing the puck all the way down. Arcabello pursuing Hamhuis, who makes a pass towards Tanev. Burrows backhands the puck in. Schultz goes back. Faked one way, went the other. Can't get it by Tanev at the right point. Here's Hamhuis. Fakes the slapper. Slot, Higgins. fan on his shot attempt. Arcobello with the puck, and he gets it out.
I think the coaches would like Dan Hanius, especially on the second unit, to take that shot, because the second unit is going to jam the net more and look for a rebound.
Benino's in. Gets away from his check. Past the blue line, and Tanev couldn't hold it in. Both teams changing. Just 10 seconds left in the power play. Spiza controls the puck for Vancouver. Sean Matthias. And now power play's over. Canucks didn't get a shot on that one. They're 0 for 2. And that's on the heels of 0 for 4 on Thursday in Edmonton. Marincin behind the net. Acton makes a play with the puck, and out is Yakimov. He turns it over the blue line, trying a drop pass. Jensen with a long bouncing shot, and Scrivens had a little trouble with that. Able to make the save of the right pad. And now it's Hunt shooting the puck in from center. Yakupov. Oh, they're on the ice together now as Yakimov tips the puck forward. I guess we shouldn't really complain with identical Sedin brothers on the other team. But at least they're both actually named Sedin, not Yakimov and Yakupov. Here's Vayen on the left wing. Pass down for Hansen. Draisaitl comes back. Yakupov's onto the puck, but he throws it up the middle, and it's intercepted by Vey. Dorsett from the corner. Marincin's lost his stick. Hansen has some room. Coming out front. Across for Vey. Couldn't get a shot away. Tried to take it off the left skate. Still controlling in the corner. Pass to Stanton, and his shot off the stick of Draisaitl and wide of the goal. Hansen once more. Weber never had the handle as he went to try a quick wrist shot. Hansen catches Yakupov on the follow-through. Yakupov seems to be okay as he heads to the Edmonton bench. 4 minutes left in the first. Canucks with a couple early ones, leading it 2-0. Higgins and Daniel Sedin. Daniels out there along with Henrik and Verbata. And there's a pass to Chris Tanev. Henrik just onside. Edler to Tanev. Back to Edler with room. Takes a look. Dishes off to Verbata. Shoots. And that hit the post on the short side, I think. Close call there. Now it's Pitlick for the Oilers. Spins to get away from Edler. Kara couldn't knock that one down. Schultz is down from the right point. Oilers just 2 shots in the period. Henrik Sedin to the ice, and the puck back onto the stick of the Oilers. Darnell Nurse. Lander giving chase. Hanhus is back. Spiza tips the puck forward. Higgins couldn't move it out. Eberle working to try to hold the puck in the zone, but now it's Hunt controlling in his own blue line. Boyd Gordon deflects one through. Miller out of his net. And use for Burrows. Couldn't move out. Eberle pressured by Burrows. Puck held into the blue line. Now Eberle once more. Jordan Eberle finds some room. Nice stick handling. Centering pass blocked, and then Miller had to make the save as it came off his own teammate. Spiza rushes to center, knocks the puck into the Edmonton zone. Both teams make changes again. Here's Marincin up for Acton. Couldn't get the puck by Jensen. Tips it forward to Zach Cassian, who plays chip in charge. Sean Matthias, the third member of this forward unit, steals the puck from Yakimov, who now gets it back and tips it free to Will Acton. Arcobello to center. Hard around to the far side. Cassian takes his man. Here come the Canucks. Three of them to center. Matthias in on the right wing. He shoots, stop, rebound. Stanton had his stick lifted. Arcobello saved the day there on what would have been a tap in to make it 3-0. So the Canucks with a post and then a missed glorious chance for Stanton, who thought he had a gimme. Ollie goes back for a loose puck. Battle forward in the corner. Schultz goes down. Kara winds up with a puck, slides it ahead to Pitlick as we move into the final minute of a fast-moving first period. Haven't had a whistle in a while. Almost 8 minutes of that one by my count. Henrik Sedin. Drop pass. Daniel. Verbata just missed. Scriven sliding to his right. Watch that shot slide wide to his left. And it stays 2-0. Henrik trying to steal. Oilers get the puck out. Nurse ahead to Yakupov. Moving on, Hanhus. Sharp angle shot. Sails wide of the goal. Clefbaum holds the puck in. Spiza able to tip it around for Hanhus. And that's going to do it for period number 1. Canucks wind up with 2. They could have had more if not for that man.
Well, Arcobello comes back on Ryan Stanton. The defenseman jumps up into the play. Shot by Matthias. Rebound. Stanton's right there. Arcobello at the last second lifts his stick. Great defensive play, and the Oilers got to get their feet moving. They got a lot of guys trying to make this team and didn't skate very well in that first period.
Good first period for the Canucks. Outshot the Oilers 8-3, got the 2 early ones. Irfan Gaffar is going to be chatting with Chris Higgins, who opened the scoring in this one. Dan Murphy with Ian McIntyre and Gary Volk. That's all ahead. 2-0 Canucks after 1.
You and your kids love the movies as much as your Canucks. Cineplex family packs come with 4 tickets, 4 Cineplex passes, a team store voucher, and a food combo to keep you fed at the game. Tickets starting at just $40 each. Visit Canucks.com/family packs for more details. Welcome back to Rogers Arena. Canucks leading the Oilers 2-0 thanks to goals from Christopher Higgins, just $1.19 in. Short time later, Daniel Sedin with his first of the preseason, making it 2-0. Oilers mustering just 3 shots in that first period. John?
Murph, thanks. It's odd, you know, John, the Canucks out shooting the Oilers 8-3, and yet our stats man, who we trust with all our hearts, Dave Moyer, actually had the scoring chances at 9-3. Yes. When you think of the posts and the shots wide, side of the net.
Radim Verbata had a couple of real good chances that didn't count as shots, and Henrik Sedin a tap in.
Underway, second period. And Justin Schultz sends one forward. Bonino intercepts, drops back to Spiza. This game has lacked the edge we saw 48 hours ago in Edmonton, but some of the people who bring that type of personality to the game, not in the lineup. Think of Westgarth and Sestito. Here's Higgins with a shot, and that was blocked. Steve Pinizzato took a warm-up for the Oilers, but he's not in the lineup. Ted Purcell, checked by Dan Hanhus. Here's Sean Matthias, couldn't take that past Cleveland. Nurse ahead for Yakupov, checked by Hanhus. Gets a return pass from Chris Tanev. Tanev trying to flip the puck in, and that went over the glass. Face off of the outside the Vancouver blue line.
Gary Volk talking about Zach Kassian, and he'd like to see a little more edge. But as you said, John, this game doesn't have that edge that we saw on Thursday night, and it's hard to create it. And the Oilers lineup, you look at it, I think there's 9 guys that'll be on the Oilers opening night that aren't here. Hall, Nugent-Hopkins, Pouliot, Yoan Su. David Perrin always adds something to the game, too. He's injured. But these other guys who are auditioning for spots or last chance, I'd be a little disappointed if I was the Oilers and Lander and some of those guys who are on the bubble not performing very well in this one.
Still plenty of time to turn that around. Just a minute and a half into the second period. Edler sends one up for Kassian. Puck knocked off his stick, but right to Chris Tanev. Kassian takes his pass on the right wing, tried to throw it back in front. That was blocked. Nice defensive play by Klefbom. Draisaitl with a pass to Klefbom. He hands the puck to Kassian. Centering feed for Stanton. He tips the puck to the side. Yannick Weber's onto it in front, and Vey couldn't make contact. Kassian also going to the front of the net. Derek Dorsett sends the puck in. Trying to steal it away from Klefbom in the corner. Weber's down for the right point. Puck intercepted by Draisaitl, who gets it out. Stanton collects in his own zone. Derek Dorsett. And it's Stanton following on, sending the puck in. Darnell Nurse down the left wing. Wide on Spiza, who then crunched him in the corner. Nurse bounces back up. Hitler. Puck knocked away from him. Dorsett gets it, backhands it out. Glove down by Nurse. Son of ex-CFLer Richard Nurse, the nephew of Donovan McNabb, and he heads to the bench on a change. Lucas Spiza.
We're going to play straight time in this period, too.
Honestly, it was like the last 8 minutes. I think after the Eberle penalty at 12-12, there wasn't another whistle. Only 11 whistles in the first period, John. Alex Edler. That'll draw a whistle as he chipped that one from his own side of center, and it's an icing call against Vancouver. Well, this is based on a true story. Scorpion follows a group of brilliant misfits hired by Homeland Security to defend against complex high-tech threats. Scorpion, Mondays on City. You're going to give that a go?
I probably will.
You give everything a go.
Probably will. We've been busy this training camp.
All 6 Canucks games. Well, okay, there was that mystery game in Stockton.
Yes, that nobody saw.
But 6 games, all of them televised. This is a first. Gordon with a shot stopped by Miller. That was the first shot of the period for either team. Radim Vrbata gets the puck out. Klefbom turning inside his own line. Ahead to Teddy Purcell. Up the right wing, Gordon moves in. Cross, Klefbom. Wrist shot, that might have gone off a Canucks stick and changed direction. Puck went over the net. Edler hits Purcell in the corner. Bonino back for the puck, quickly to Higgins. Weber skating hard out of his own zone. He'll chase after that puck deep in Oilers territory. Oilers clear to the side. Draisaitl gets the puck to center. Yakupov hoping to glove it down and make a pass to Lander, but he was checked before he could make the play. And Marincin controls behind the Edmonton goal. Yakupov nicely to Lander. Ahead for Draisaitl, but he was in a step too soon.
One of the bounce back guys for the Canucks, and Gary and Ian were talking about how Zach Kassian got suspended to start the season, that 8-game suspension, the 5 regular season. Well, how about Alex Burrows? Break your foot in the first game and you miss all that time and try to get back. Everybody else is in great mid-season form and you're just coming back from the broken foot.
Had a point-blank chance in the first period, Alex Burrows foiled on a nice stop by Scrivens. It's a turnover and a goal by Yakupov. Thrown up the middle onto the tape of Nail Yakupov, and he made no mistake cutting the lead in half.
Well, Lucas Spiza fires this one right onto the stick of Nail Yakupov, and before Ryan Miller can get set, it's in the net. Spiza to Yakupov, and Miller just inside the post. Beautiful shot by Yakupov. Look at that, just 8 inches above the pad, just inside the post. I don't think Ryan Miller was expecting the shot, but it was still a quick reaction by Yakupov to put it away.
See what that does to the Oilers. Said they've got lots of time here to turn it around. They've had the only 2 shots of the period, and Yakupov makes the second one count. His first of the preseason at 5:07. Out with the puck is Pitlick. Ahead to Matt Hendricks, who slides one in on Miller. Kara after the puck. Did well to come up with it, despite starting that sequence prone on the ice. Pitlick in the corner. Pass for Kara, taken away by Handhuse. Jensen can't find the puck in his skates. Now passes to an open side, and Zach Kassian is there. 6 minutes into the second. Vancouver 2, Edmonton 1. There's a penalty coming up here to Hendricks as he hooked Lucas Spiza. Miller on his way to the bench will leave the puck for Spiza. Hendricks will head off unless Burrows scores here. He stopped by Scrivens, who covers the puck and gets the whistle. Canucks to the power play for the 3rd time in the game. Matt Hendricks is headed to the penalty box.
Official PharmaSave Canucks wall calendar on sale now at PharmaSave locations throughout BC for only $6.99. Pick up yours today and help support the Canucks for Kids Fund.
Matt Hendricks behind the net on Lucas Spiza. One hand on the stick, but right underneath the arms of Spiza. And Hendricks knew right away he was going to the penalty box.
3 power plays in the hockey game. All of them have gone Vancouver's way. Canucks 0 for 2 and managed just 1 shot. See if they try to get it back to Edler a little more on this one. Get some shots through. Gonna have to start from their own end as Acton slams the puck all the way down the ice. Acton up front with Boyd Gordon on the penalty kill. Ollie and Marincin the defenseman, and another nice play by Acton, sending the Canucks back into their own zone. He heads off. Oilers now have Lander up front with Arcabello. Canucks break in. Daniel Sedin sets up shop on the left wing. Back to Edler. Edler to Henrik Sedin. Looking across, perhaps for Verbata. Pass was for Daniel. Verbata winds up with it in the corner. Back to Edler. Henrik Sedin couldn't reach that pass. Left bump. Knocked down by Vey. Edler wrist one through, and that was deflected wide by Ollie. Puck is cleared down the ice by Klefbom. Miller out of his net. And sends the puck to Christopher Tanev. One-touch pass, Burrows to Handhuse, and tipped in by Bonino. Quickly cleared out. Schultz getting the puck to center. Tanev gets to it ahead of Tyler Pitlick. Burrows checked by Nurse. No shots on this power play thus far. Just 1 in the period for the Canucks. That was the one by Burrows just before the commercial break. 20 seconds left in the power play. Bonino for Higgins. Puck goes off his skate. This time Scrivens will come out and play. Something that cost him on the opening goal of the game just over a minute in. Burrows after the puck on the side, loses his stick. Penalty coming up here.
Alex Burrows is going to get it for holding the stick. After he lost his stick, he reached over and grabbed, and he's going to end up in the penalty box.
So the Canucks 0 for 3 on the power play, and just 1 second remaining in the Hendricks minor, so it'll basically be a full power play for the Oilers.
Alex Burrows loses his stick in the corner, it jams into the boards, and now he reaches with the left hand, a quick grab on the stick, and ends up in the penalty box.
Well, he got away with one in the first when he slashed Kara's stick before Kara slashed his back, and they got the second guy. This time Burrows gets caught. Matthias waved out. Jannik Hansen will move in to take the draw. Looks like he might try to go forward with it. Oh, just try to win it on the forehand. Worked out. Matthias wound up with the puck. Hendricks out of the box. And the Oilers on the power play for the first time in the hockey game. Chance to tie it up. Schultz rushes in on the right wing. Stanton trying to separate him from the puck. Matthias had his stick slashed and broken, and he couldn't clear the puck out. Took a look towards the official, but play goes on. Purcell to Schultz. Long change here. Matthias can't go grab a stick at the bench. Long shot. Blocker saved by Miller. As he was tested by Brad Hunt, and the Canucks clear the puck out. Matthias hustles to the bench, replaced by Derek Dorsett. And now Hansen has his spot taken by Nicholas Jensen. As the Oilers move the power play to center, Jordan Eberle. Left wing feed for Martin Marincin. He moves to tie up Tanev in the corner. Puck comes to Yakupov, the Oiler goal scorer here in the second. Controlling on the left wing. Rink wide, got the pass through, slap shot, stopped by Miller. This time it was Marincin letting fly, and Miller, giving up no rebound, gets the whistle.
Sean Matthias had a good game on Thursday, and here he gets a chance to kill penalties. New coach, you're auditioning. Okay, you're back. Get it all the way down. It's the second period. It's a tough change, and you float that little wrister, and look what happened. Justin Schultz brings it right back in, and you're in trouble.
Arcabello on this face-off against Bonino. And the Canucks control. Weber sending the puck off the boards and down in the Oilers' end. Oilers have outshot the Canucks 5-1 here in the second. Here they come through center. And offside with 34 seconds to go on the penalty to Alex Burrows.
And I wasn't trying to pick on Anton Lander when I said he's one of the guys auditioning. Leon Draisaitl is another guy that has a chance to make this team. And you would think, okay, this is your last game. You've got to show the coaching staff what you can do. And Kara, and you go up and down. Yakimov, Tyler Pitlick would be another guy on the bubble.
Well, they've had a better second, that's for sure. So maybe they got the same message from Dallas Eakins.
That's it.
Two teams that went about training camp in the preseason differently in that the Canucks got their numbers down rather quickly, and the Oilers, even as recently as a few days ago, still had 48 players or so. Draisaitl sets it up for Yakupov. He was checked as he tried to pull the trigger. The Canucks are back to full strength. And the Oilers 0 for 1 on the power play, still trailing by 1. Weber holds the puck in the Edmonton zone as the Canucks complete a change, get the Sedins out there along with Vrbata. Battle for the puck behind the net. Sent to the blue line, right to Weber, lets it go. Partially blocked, loose in front, and clear to the corner where Vrbata takes possession. His pass intercepted. Again, Weber holds the puck in. Kara's broken his stick, trying to defend without one. Vrbata, long shot, that sailed over top of the goal. Henrik Sedin from the corner. Pass back, Vrbata again, and that went off his stick in front. I think Marincin got a piece of it. Marincin appears to be a little shaken up. Just one hand on the stick, but well, maybe he's all right. He's able to block that pass. Nurse plays to the side. Oilers get the puck out. But they can't change the defense. Daniel Sedin in, drop pass. Henrik trying to slide one through. Loose puck. They tap it back towards Henrik. Here's Vrbata. Shoot. Stopped by Snow. It's in. Scrivens thought he had it. Another one where he didn't look quite square to the shot, and it's 3-1 Canucks.
Now, second period change. The Oilers get caught on the change, and it's a 4-on-2. The Oilers do get their man on the ice, but Ben Scrivens, as you said, John, doesn't get square to this one. The puck's bouncing around. He can't see it. Doesn't pick it up till late, and then gets flat in the net instead of square to Vrbata. And Vrbata off the side of Ben Scrivens. A little squeaker, and it finds the back of the net.
Vrbata has his third of the preseason. And the Canucks restore their 2-goal lead at 11:33 of the second period. Chris Higgins. Now it's Burrows for Vancouver. 10 into the blue line. Left point pass. Edler wrist one on goal. That hit a body in front. Burrows on the backhand. Stopped by Scrivens, who now dives out to cover the puck. He was able to make that save, but he couldn't stop Radim Vrbata, who's got a trio of tallies here in the preseason. The Canucks lead 3-1.
Heading into this final preseason game, Canucks head coach Willie Desjardins said he'd love to see his team play with the same intensity they're going to play with on Wednesday night. Said it treated like a final dress rehearsal, but he's not delusional, saying that the players just want to get out of a game like this healthy, and it's so tough to read the veterans in these preseason games because no matter what they say, there's no chance they're going at 100%. John?
They'll be going at 100%, he hopes, Wednesday in Calgary when they start playing for keeps. Canucks with the last 3 shots of the period. Vrbata scored on one of them. Here's Lyndon Vey. In for Dorsett. Good job by Schultz to break that up, but then he banked the puck right to Vey. Pass for Dorsett out of his reach. Jannik Hansen swoops in to collect the puck. Hansen, Spiza lets it go. Hit a leg in front. Hansen gets the rebound. Back to Spiza again. Spiza trying to make a play to the front. Oilers break it up. Vey keeps the puck alive. Spiza fakes the one-timer. Vey takes his pass. Spiza wide of the goal. Canucks playing keep away on this show. But the pass back intended for Spiza. Problem was he was headed to the bench, and the man who replaced him, Weber, is back to pick up the puck. 6.5 to go in the second. Boyd Gordon watching Weber as he controls behind the net. Jensen at center. Tried to tip one through for Cassian. That was broken up. Stanton follows up. Ryan Stanton +3 in this hockey game. And an assist on the Vrbata goal. Here's Ted Purcell. Through for Gordon. That didn't work. Cassian winds up with the puck. Trying to find Jensen. But turned over, and here's Hunting. He lets fly. Stopped by Miller. Brad Hunt has 3 of the Oilers' 9 shots in this game. Wouldn't mind scoring in front of family and friends. Nurse broke his stick. Canucks will try to take advantage. Cassian with Jensen. And Cassian stripped of the puck by Marincin. Here come the Oilers with numbers. Draisaitl in. Right in on goal. Close. Saved by Miller. As Draisaitl saw the path to the net, but couldn't beat the goaltender. Ryan Miller with his 9th save on 10 shots. Little larceny with the leather.
Single game tickets on sale now. Visit Canucks.com/tickets for more information on single game, group bundles, or ticket packages like family packs. Get in on the action and come see your Canucks play live.
Five and a half to go in the second. And the Canucks back into a 2-goal lead.
Willie Desjardins talking about the veterans in preseason. I remember playing for the late Bill LaForge, and he dressed all the veterans every exhibition game, and we had a good exhibition record. But then when the other teams all loaded up their teams for the regular season, it didn't really give us a true state of where we were as a team. That 6-2 record in preseason didn't carry over.
And you had yourself a new coach 23 games later. Henrik Sedin, Daniel Sedin just missed. So they played give and go off the right wing boards. Henrik to Daniel. Adler to Henrik. Vrbata collects the puck in the corner. Tried to get to the Daniel Sedin. Yakupov took that away. And the puck is played out by Draisaitl. Henrik Sedin ahead to Daniel. And back to Henrik. Drops for Rabada. Pass through to Etler. Tipped one on goal. Steered to the side by Scrivens. Henrik. Daniel Sedin. Here's Dan Hamhuis. Speeds over the one-timer. Blocked by Yakimov. Broke his stick, so he has to drop it. Here's a lead pass. Burrows in. And he didn't get anything on the feed to the side. Oilers looked at too many on the ice there as Hendricks jumped on and played the puck before Yakimov was on the bench. Play continues. Canucks roll the puck out. Keith Ollie sends it forward for Kara. Ahead for Hendricks, who tips the puck to the corner. Hendricks finds some room behind the net. Pitlick trying to help out, but Hamhuis takes the puck away. Gets it ahead. Burrows tips to center. Higgins plays the puck over the Oiler line, but it's shot right back out to Jar Kara. To Tyler Pitlick. In on the right wing, round the net. Tried to center. That was off a Canuck stick, and the puck is down inside the Oiler blue line. 3.5 to go in the second. Klefbom rushes the puck ahead. Stanton for Dorsett. Checked immediately by Eberle. Here's a lead feed. Dorsett moving in on Klefbom. Canucks changing as he throws on the brakes, dumps the puck behind the net. Oilers Klefbom able to work it to Hunt, who makes a nice spinning move to get away from Hansen. Eberle moving in on Weber. Now it's the Oilers changing as Eberle moves it past to Purcell. Hansen takes that puck away, gets it outside the line to center where Darnell Nurse controls. Miller's going to come out to play that one as Lander was going to beat the Canuck defense to the puck. Nice pass ahead to Jensen. Working on Schultz. Nicholas Jensen back to Alex Edler. This one towards the goal. Acton intercepts. Ahead to Arcabello. Back to Acton. In on the left wing. Shot off the stick of Tanev. Wide of the goal. Another shot from the other side. Here's the rebound to Arcabello. Drop pass. A good one. Lander with a shot. I think it hit a body in front. And Miller slid to his left to make a save on a sharp angle bid. Here's Lander with a shot, and Miller's there with a blocker. Lander to Acton, scores! I think it went off Jensen's stick and then off the post and in. Will Acton makes it 3-2.
The Canucks in trouble on this shift, chasing the Oilers, and some good pressure by the Oilers, and that's something that they haven't had a whole lot of in this game. Will Acton has been one of their better players, has the puck behind the net. Ryan Miller, good save on a bang-bang play, gets square. And I agree with you. I think this hit Nick Jensen's stick and changes direction. Miller's lined up, square, and you can see from his reaction that it changed direction. Nick Jensen gets his stick on it, and it's off the post and in.
I think you could tell by Jensen's reaction too. Acton from Lander and Arcabello at 18:03. And the Oilers get back within one. Now Henrik Sedin to the other end, and again Scrivens left some room on the short side, but Henrik couldn't exploit it. Now Yakupov breaking it alone. Yakupov stopped. There'll be a penalty at least, and a slashing call. Second game in a row where the Oilers might have argued for a penalty shot, but Dan Hamhuis heads off for slashing.
Nail Yakupov, who has not had a very good preseason, has looked better here at times. And here he gets this long pass, protects the puck. Dan Hamhuis can't get at him, so chops him from the outside. And Yakupov has the shot on Ryan Miller, and I think maybe that is why there was no penalty shot. I thought there might be a penalty shot on that one.
Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel. I wish they'd call them more liberally. I thought Taylor Hall should have had one the other night. It's an exciting play. So 2 opportunities to make that call. We saw Lance Boma get one in the game in Calgary in the preseason, stopped by Eddie Lack. Oilers on the power play, chance to tie the game. And that shot from Purcell just missed. Eberle back to Schultz. Now Purcell passes to the side. Hunt checked by Edler. Final minute, second period. Oilers with a couple here in the middle frame. Canucks have had one, and Vancouver leading by one. Schultz. Wrist one, blocked by Edler. Puck is caught up in his equipment. And they'll blow play dead with 44 seconds to go in the second period.
Alex Edler doing a nice job as the Oilers moving around, just trying to throw the puck to the net, but Edler, good position between the attacking player and the net. Able to block that one and hang on.
Oilers win the draw. Working the man advantage. Arcabello taps the puck to Yakupov, back to Marincin. Here's Yakupov with a drive, and Miller moving to his left made the save. Stanton able to clear the rebound down the ice with under 30 seconds to go in the period. Good job up ice by Bonino to hound the Oilers. Now they try to break out. But the puck is by Yakupov. Spiza, 2 attempts to move it ahead, and on the second he's able to slide the puck in the Oilers zone. Down to 5 seconds for Edmonton to work with. Marincin takes a look at the clock. Tests Miller from well out. Can of corn. And the Canucks will head to the dressing room, not with the 2-goal lead they had through one, but with a 1-goal lead after 40.
Well, a much better period for the Edmonton Oilers as they finally did get their feet moving and get themselves back into this game. Opportunistic on the first goal by Yakupov, but a hard work goal on the second goal, and they're right back in this one.
John, I'm a man of my word. After the first period, I promised that Irfan would be speaking with Chris Higgins.
Yes.
He will be speaking with Chris Higgins in our second intermission. That's coming up. We look forward to that. We also look forward to this. Dan Murphy with a couple of guys are going to be on the PGA Tour. Adam Hadwin, Nick Taylor. They're in the house. They'll be with Murph in our second intermission. 20 to go, and the Canucks lead at 3-2.
Second period shots got goals from Yakupov and Will Acton. Radim Verbata has his third of the preseason. Canucks still with a 1-goal lead. 5 goals so far in this hockey game, lads.
And it was a quick start for the Canucks, John, in this one. A couple of early ones to build the 2-0 lead.
Alex Burrows chips it over Brad Hunt. Chris Higgins chips it over Ben Scrivens. Left shoulder. And then Henrik and Daniel back and forth, and Daniel from behind the net banks it off Ben Scrivens, who's let in a couple of funny ones. Perfect pass from Lucas Spiza. Wrong guy, though. Nail Yakupov makes it count. Radim Verbata again off Ben Scrivens' side and in the net. And then off Nick Jensen's stick, Will Acton off the post and in. And the Oilers, who had a much better second period, right back in.
And Ben Scrivens' team on the power play still to start period number 3 is Ryan Miller. And the Canucks will be killing the last 26 seconds of the Dan Hamhuis slashing penalty.
At the end of the period, Nail Yakupov was talking to the referees about, as you said, John, I'm sure, about a penalty shot on that play. He did have position, nobody between he and the net.
You're looking at me like that was correct, so.
It was correct.
You are an English major.
Thank you. Your mother would be proud of me.
She's always proud of you, John.
Thank you.
Oilers down a goal. Try to get the puck up ice. Set up the power play, but that's broken up by Daniel Sedin, who slides the puck back behind the Edmonton goal. Now just 5 seconds to go on the Hamhuis penalty. Eberle has that pass go off the skate. Canucks back to full strength. Oilers 0 for 2 on the power play. Still trailing 3-2. Jordan Eberle. In on the right side. Yakupov tips the puck towards the front. Winds up on the stick of Hendricks. Makes a move behind the goal. Blue line feed, Ollie, wrist one to the side, backhander stopped by Miller as he was tested by Hendricks, and the puck trickled back to him, and he's able to cover. Close-in chance there for Matt Hendricks trying to tie the hockey game.
Matt Hendricks does a nice job protecting the puck on Nick Bonino, gets it back and then goes to the front of the net. Is all by himself, but the puck's bouncing and he can't get much on it. Ryan Miller able to get the right leg down and make the play. Hendricks, beautiful job protecting the puck, getting it back to the point and creating the chance, but he couldn't control that bouncing puck.
Hendricks stays out with Jujhar Khaira and Tyler Pitlick. Ollie and Marincin are the defensemen. Ollie has the puck, passes to Marincin. Wrists one to the high slot, deflected by Khaira, but blocked, and the puck cleared out by Burrows. Higgins trying to steal it from Marincin. Couldn't do it, and Pitlick controls, passing back to Ollie. Here's Ollie again. Spiza stepped up. He tried to hit him, a glancing blow. Now he's after the puck. Ollie holds it in. Hanhus tied up by Hendricks. Hunt moves down from the right point. Khaira. Burrows on him. Hanhus knocks the puck towards Higgins, who's now tying it up along the boards. Spiza finally finds some room. Almost gave it away on a pass into the middle, but the puck gets outside the line to center. Higgins brings it forward. He's in on the left wing. Kassian going to the net. There's the pass, and he couldn't make contact as he got free from his check and had a chance to deflect that puck on goal. Arcobello plays to Hunt. Long wrister grabbed by Miller, and with Lander approaching, he hangs on for the stoppage and play.
Zach Kassian, fresh off the bench for Alex Burrows, goes right to the net. The Oilers make the change, and Kassian just can't quite tip that pass. Beautiful pass from Chris Higgins. Game Thursday night, there was 19 hits after the first period. 22 after 2 periods in this one. Different cast of characters, there's no doubt about that. But
well, as Willie Desjardins said, and Irf was talking with Chris Higgins last preseason game. You can't play not to get hurt, but it can be somewhere in your mind. Edler stepped into Draisaitl. He's going to get a penalty, maybe for elbow. Edler hitting Draisaitl just inside the blue line, and he'll serve 2. He hopes for that one.
Draisaitl gets hit. It is elbowing as Draisaitl makes contact with Alex Edler's elbow.
Third power play for the Oilers. And they've done a better job generating shots than they did a couple of nights ago. They've had 4 shots total on their 2 power plays thus far, after registering just 1 on their 5 power plays.
We were talking about having Justin Schultz in the lineup, and what a difference that makes.
Miller out of his net. Shoots the puck around, held in by Schultz. Canucks clear to the line. Here's Hunt. Purcell tried to pass, broken up by Hanhus, but Hunt holds the line. 30 seconds gone in the power play. Here's Schultz at the left point. Passing down, Everly cuts in front, dishes to the side, now thrown towards the slot, knocked away. And Jannik Hansen carries ahead and tips the puck down into Oiler territory. Just over a minute to go on the Alex Edler minor for elbow. Nearing the 4-minute mark, third period. Arcobello with the puck through center. Pass to Draisaitl, who drew the penalty. Here's Arcobello from the corner. That one came right in front, and Bonino able to tip it away before it got onto the stick of Yakupov. Bonino now turns and risks the puck all the way down the ice.
Well, that was a good read by Nick Bonino, who normally would be the high man on the penalty kill. Came back deep, able to pick that pass up.
Darnell Nurse sends one in on Miller.
Look out.
Short-handed chance. Matthias down the left wing. Forced wide around the net. Wrap around it. Scrivens able to make the save. Again, if you missed it earlier, the Oilers power play in the preseason has scored once. On 31 opportunities now, it has surrendered 2 short-handed goals. So actually being outscored this preseason. Gordon in on the right wing with a slap shot. Stopped by Miller. Rebound taken away by Hamhuis. Canucks are back to full strength, and here's Edler out of the box. Drag move. Now he turns. Daniel Sedin centers. Purcell intercepts in front of Henrik Sedin. And the puck sent forward to Jordan Eberle, who tips it wide on Weber. Eberle round the net. Now passes along the inboards. Puck comes to the other side. Klefbom tried to put it on goal. He gets another chance. Cutting to the slot. On the backhand, Oscar Klefbom passes back to Schultz. Hamhuis intercepts and ices the puck. So the face-off will come back into the Vancouver zone. Don't think the Canucks will need to use their timeout. Guys haven't been out there that long.
No. And John, you talked about the Oilers short-handed, giving up the chances here. Sean Matthias almost a 2-on-1. Has to go around behind the net. Ben Scrivens able to come across and make the save on the wraparound try.
After being outshot 8-3 in the first, the Oilers have outshot the Canucks 18-7. Still trailing by a goal, and they'll do this face-off again. Might have to add some time to the clock.
Oh, Big Mike Civic didn't like the way that one was dropped.
Henrik Sedin against Jujhar Khaira. Marincin trying to hold the puck in. Canucks send it down. Vancouver makes a full change after being unable to due to the icing. Here's Burrows in on the left wing. Lost the handle as he tried to pull the trigger. Stanton had his stick break as he went for the slap shot. And Tyler Pitlick sends the puck into the Vancouver zone. Stanton still without a stick. So the Canucks get the puck ahead, and here's Higgins. Over the Oiler blue line, drops for Spiza. Round behind the net. Lucas Spiza leads in the corner for Christopher Higgins. Centering pass, Hansen, backhander stopped by Scrivens. Didn't get a lot on it, but able to send it towards the goal. Now Spiza with a shot that went off a leg and wide. And Edler chases back for a loose puck. Pass to Jannik Hansen, who just had that backhanded chance. Throws on the brakes. Hansen checked as he tried to send the puck around. Arcobello quickly at center to Lander. Anton Lander dumps the puck in. And out with it is Chris Tanev. Arcobello intercepts that. Passes to Justin Schultz. 7 minutes into the third. Another period not bereft of whistles, John, but there haven't been many.
Not many.
Could use one right now. Dan Hamhuis out with the puck. Pass to Sean Matthias. Busting towards the goal. He was able to put it on the forehand to get a sharp angle shot away. Stopped by Ben Scrivens. Draisaitl comes back and finds Ollie. Trying to go through to the fence. Hamhuis put the hip into it. Yakupov's onto the puck. Hamhuis trying to check him. Mail Yakupov. Back to the line. Wrist shot deflected just wide. I think it was Draisaitl picked that one right out of the air. Yakupov to the blue line, but it was out of the reach of Ollie, and the puck slides down into the Edmonton zone.
Sean Matthias with a couple of good rushes here in the third period. Showed his speed, drove the puck to the net.
8 minutes into the third. 4 whistles, we're told, so far this period. And Miller will get another one here. With 11:50 to go in the third, Oilers still down a goal, but they came close. The youngster, Draisaitl, pretty good hand-eye, and he missed by that much.
Pizza Hut wants you to win an autographed Canucks jersey with a chance to win free pizza for a year with their Eat Pizza Win Stuff contest. Go to pizzahut.ca or call 310-1010 to order. You're automatically entered to win every week from September to November. Pizza Hut, the official pizza of the Vancouver Canucks.
Good crowd on hand for the last preseason game.
I can't wait for the... are you part of the preview show? Do you get the chance to pick the Canucks to win the Stanley Cup?
Yes, I hope so. I think we're part of the preview show, you and I.
Jannik Hansen trying to send one on goal. Winds up on the stick of Schultz. Up for Eberle. Dorsett on the back check, able to take the puck away at center. Now carry back in his own zone. Lost his balance under the check of Gordon. Now the puck is under Dorsett. Here, Brad Meyer, the referee, saying, Dorse, move.
Well, Derek Dorsett thought he was tripped, and that's why he's looking at Brad Meyer. He thought the guy gave him the stick in the skates, and that's why he's not going to give the puck away.
Good job to cover for Edler here.
Well, that's it. He's a good defensive player, and then when he gets in the corner, Boyd Gordon, he just lost an edge. There was no trip there.
No hands! No hands!
And you can hear the referee hollering.
Marincin with a shot. And Miller able to stop that. Canucks clear, hits the linesman Mike Civic, but gets outside the line to center. 9 minutes into the third. Canucks looking to finish the preseason at 5-2. Oilers came in at 4-3. And Miller grabs that puck. I've jinxed it on the whistles. We've had a bunch in a row.
A bunch in a row. And Dallas Eakins, the consistency of the Oilers, and you look at their history lately, and it has not been good. And as we all know, a very successful franchise early in their career, and now the Oilers, some consistency in the coaching behind the bench. Craig McTavish in the general manager's job, and you bring in new assistants, you get fresh voices in Keith Acton and Craig Ramsey, and I think Dallas Eakins will do a much better job this season for the Oilers.
Trying to coax another goal out of their squad right now. Spiza hit Higgins with that pass. Oilers trying to break out. Broken up by Hamhuis. And now Hunt starts from his own zone. Sends the puck in from center. Now loose puck behind the goal. Will Acton gets it. Sets up for Lander. He couldn't pull the trigger. Hunt. Behind the net, Lander. And a Vancouver penalty coming up here. Canucks will be shorthanded when we come back to Rogers Arena. Another opportunity for the Oilers to tie the game as they go to the power play for the 4th time.
Again, the Acton-Lander line creating chaos in the Canucks zone, and Lucas Spiza takes Acton before the puck. There's the interference. Easy call for the referee on that one.
Oilers 0 for 3 on the power play. And again, they've taken this game over since the first period. Certainly in the shots on goal department, 20 for the Oilers, 9 for the Canucks since the start of period 2. But still down a goal, chance to tie it here. Brad Hunt with a shot, and sprawling to block that was Sean Mathias. Eberle into the corner. Gordon back towards Eberle, tried to find Purcell. Canucks break that up. The Oilers win the puck back. Here's Schultz at the blue line. Hunt with a one-timer. Miller was being screened by Edler and Gordon as they battled in front of the net. Canucks come up with a puck. Jannik Hansen takes his time. Now gets it in deep and heads off. Linesman got away that pass. Here's Rivada with a quick move to the inside. Now another one. She tried to beat two Oilers. Just lost the handle. Canucks keeping control of the puck though. Down to 50 seconds to go on the penalty to Lucas Spiza. Now 40 seconds remaining as Hunt starts out. Draisaitl plays the puck in. Arcobello dumps it around. Here's Marincin at the left point. Arcobello takes his pass. Tried to find Nurse, and that was read well by Henrik Sedin, who tipped the puck out. 20 seconds to go in the Edmonton power play. Draisaitl tips the puck behind the Canuck goal. Oilers crash in there after it. Nurse holds it in on the left wing. Want to welcome those of you who've been watching baseball. What a marathon. Brandon Belt with an 18th inning homer to lift the Giants to a 2-1 victory. This game has the Canucks leading Edmonton 3-2. Oilers just finished an unsuccessful power play. They're 0 for 4. Canucks building leads of 2-0 and 3-1. Will Acton making it 3-2 late in the second. John Shorthouse, John Garrett, Dan Murphy, Irfan Ghaffar, our entire Sportsnet crew, and a hand pass stops play with 7:17 to go in the third period.
Bo Horvat's done a lot of penalty killing for the Canucks. He's hurt. Radim Vrbata killing a penalty. A couple of pull drag moves. Takes the puck to the corner. Still controls it. Good concentration by Vrbata. Gets it back again. Kills some more time, and then the quick exit.
To go as Weber plays the puck out, and Klefbom takes control at the Edmonton blue line. Chris Higgins pass for Burrows. He couldn't knock it down. Hendricks looks the other way, finds Pitlick. Couldn't get it by Spiza. And Bonino has the puck for Vancouver. Quickly ahead to Higgins. Waiting for help, finds it in Stanton. Ryan Stanton, wrist shot, swallowed up by Scrivens, who hasn't been very busy of late, but he makes that save and gets the whistle.
Chris Higgins has had good jump in this game, and he sets up Ryan Stanton, and Higgins has had a good training camp. Gains the line, creates some room, hits the trailer, and Ryan Stanton with the wrist shot, and Ben Scrivens this time gets square and takes it off the logo.
Collision in front of the Vancouver bench. Stanton challenged by Nurse after he stepped into Acton. Acton now hits Stanton. And that's what we had 60 minutes of the other night. Miller swallows up that shot, and now Stanton and Acton are into it in front of the Vancouver goal.
We saw Acton and Matthias on Thursday at the end of the first period.
That was after Acton got into a bit of a verbal tussle with Eddie Lack. Lack kind of kicking out his leg as well. But this, the result of a Ryan Stanton open ice hit on Will Acton.
Ryan Stanton had 6 hits in that game Thursday. After the shoot-in. Off balance. He was on his back foot, and I think that's why the hit looked worse than it was.
Chance for a little retribution there. Probably didn't satisfy Will Acton, I wouldn't think. Tried to get a little more on the whistle. Face-off will pit Boyd Gordon against Sean Matthias, the battle of the number 27s. Oilers control. Nurse with a long shot. Miller took it in the chest and then fell on the puck. Another 5 seconds coming off the clock. 6:15 to go in the third.
Sean Matthias taps his stick on the ice, and he is now 4 and 6 in the faceoff circle. Loses that one to Boyd Gordon, who, as we've mentioned, is very good in the draws, but it's one of the areas where Sean Matthias has to get better.
Gordon now wins one from Lyndon Vay. Schultz centering pass. And Purcell with his back to the goal was able to redirect that, but just off the target. Eberle from behind the goal. Purcell from a sharp angle, and Miller made that save. Here's Nurse with an attempt, and that fluttered wide of the goal. Chris Tanev couldn't get the puck around the boards. Now a chance for Alex Edler to move it. Sends one up the middle. Zach Kassian one-on-one on Nurse. Kassian trying to spin to the back here. Nurse stayed right with him. Puck comes to the blue line. Spiza down the boards. Vay couldn't take it cleanly. Spiza follows up. Tried to get it in deep, but the puck goes out of play. Whistle blows with 5:19 to go in the third. Zach Kassian and the Canucks still leading by a goal here at Rogers Arena. Now on Sportsnet, more tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Chelsea and Arsenal on Sportsnet East, Ontario, West, Pacific, and World. Are we on Sportsnet World tonight?
Sportsnet
That would be
World.
cool.
We're on Sportsnet World tonight.
Ryan Stanton has had a strong game, and that's an offside play. Stanton's +3. You saw him throw a pretty good hit on his last shift.
We talked about the Oilers who aren't here up front, but their defense too. Jeff Petrie, Mark Fane, Andrew Ference, and Nikita Nikitin. Those four you would think would be in their starting rotation.
Told Petrie and Ference will be good to go to start the season on Thursday. Stanton onto the puck behind his net. Under 5 minutes remaining. Rabada trying to move the puck out, blocked by Eberle. Trying to find some room. Dishes off. One-timer. Oh, no. That's an awkward save. Right pad stopped by Miller. Stayed out. Now the Canucks at the other end. Henrik Sedin drags in front, and sprawling to make the defensive play was Hunt. Edler keeps the puck in. Daniel Sedin. Back to Alex Edler. Here's Tanev towards the goal. That might have ticked off Hunt and gone wide. Clefbaum. 4 minutes to go. Yakimov. Now Yakupov. I finally got to do it.
Yes.
And Miller was there to make the stop. Did I get them right?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And Yakupov has been very good after the first period, where he did nothing in the first period. He's been good in the last 2 periods. Little move. And there's the pick play I was talking about, where Vrbata could have had the puck out of the across the blue line. And Lucas Spiza waves at that one. It's off his hand, and fortunately for Ryan Miller, it hit his pad.
You're trying to win the trust and confidence of your goaltender. He's already had one go off of
I
him.
know. He made that perfect pass to Yakupov.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking of that. He had one go off his skate and in play in the Arizona game.
Yes.
Just over 3 minutes remaining. Remember when you famously jinxed something last year?
Yes.
There's a lot made of it.
Yes, I
It was a
know.
shutout Roberto Luongo was working on, and somehow you, against everything you believe in, mentioned it.
I know. Well, you led me into it. You were
I did not.
teasing. You did.
Here's
I'm
a-
blaming you completely.
Well, Acton trying to put one on goal. I'm going to risk jinxing something just to make you angry now. Canucks have had a perfect preseason. They haven't had an overtime game yet, John. I know how much you
Yes.
enjoy that.
Yes.
Leading by a goal with 2:45 to go. Let's see if superstition wins over logic. Kassian. 3 Canucks through center. Zach Kassian across. Matthias fired it wide. Dan Hamhuis. Hard around to the far side. Too hard. Right to Purcell. He finds Gordon. Check to the Vancouver blue line. Delayed offside. And now here's Jensen with room to move. Working on Klefbom. Passing and after the puck. Sends it to the near side. Stanton moves down from the blue line. Passing did well to knock that one out of the air, but now Everly intercepts. Soft pass ahead for Gordon. Let's go. Just over 90 seconds remaining. Scriven still in the goal. Purcell. Round behind. Hansen intercepts and gets the puck outside the line. Here's Jannik Hansen moving out.
Canucks doing a much better job now than they were halfway through this period, where they played a lot of it in their own zone.
Minute to go. And the Oilers try to get Scrivens to the bench. He's cheating out of the crease, but they can't get through center, and Daniel Sedin's in. Verbata chopped at that puck, and it sailed over the glass for a whistle. Off an Oilers stick, so the face-off will stay in the Edmonton zone.
Everything in the preseason you look at and you say, well, okay, the guys who play a lot, Lyndon Bay has played a lot, but Henrik and Daniel Sedin have racked up the points, especially on the power play. I think that's a good sign for the Canucks, as the Canucks have been able to make the power play go. Sedin's, after such a bad year last year by their standards, more than a point a game here during the preseason.
Oilers, timeout. Don't forget, coming up right after the game, connected, Jackie Redmond, Brendan Dunlop. And we'll have more from Rogers Arena during that show.
Is this Jackie's debut? I think it is.
Oh,
We have to welcome Jackie.
feel honored to be a part of that.
Yes.
Timeout spent. Gordon will try to win this draw. Oilers get the puck up the ice and get Scrivens to the bench. Here's Everly. Scrivens hustles off. Oilers get the 6th attacker up there. Everly around the net. Gets the puck back to Schultz. Jordan Everly wants more. Lots of traffic in front. Diving out was Bonino to knock the puck off his stick. Burrows gets it, banks it out. And it's going to be enough for icing. So the Oilers get an offensive zone draw with 9 seconds to go in regulation.
Well, you see Jordan Everly play like that, and his skill set. And yet at times last season, Jordan Everly was looked at as the sophomore jinx, that he did not play nearly as well as he did in his first year.
Oilers trying to set up a last-ditch attempt here. Burrows, good job to keep the puck along the boards, and that'll do it. Willie Desjardins' preseason, his first as an NHL head coach, is done. Radim Vrbata gets what proves to be the winning goal. Canucks with a strong first period. Oilers with a better team through the last two. But Vancouver prevails 3-2 and finishes the preseason at 5-2.
You talked about, okay, get through that last preseason game and don't get hurt. Canucks were able to do that. But as you say, their first 20 minutes were very good. The next 40, not quite so much. But give the Oilers credit, because after that dismal first period, they came back, got their feet moving, and got more involved in the game. And their depleted lineup, I'd say half their regular team was not here for this game. And they were the better team in the last 40 minutes.
Preseason's done. Bring on the regular year. Both these teams will open against Calgary. Canucks on Wednesday in Calgary. Oilers at home Thursday to the Flames. Two teams getting very familiar with each other. They met 48 hours ago. Vancouver winning that one 2-1. They meet again tonight. Canucks another one-goal victory. They'll meet 3 times in the first 11 games of the regular season. Familiarity may indeed breed contempt. 3-2 Canucks the final. Stay tuned. Connected's next.